Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all having a great day. This is Johnny S with another 6 vlog. Today, not such a sunny day in Greece. It's springtime, but every now and then we get this type of weird weather. But you know, more often the weather in Greece is sunny. So today we're going to discuss about some modifications that I was thinking about. I'm still contemplating whether I should do this or not on the bike. For the time being, I have not done them. I have decided not to do them, but you know, that might change. There are a few things that I've got in mind. One thing that I also did to mention, I don't know if it can be seen, is those side tank pad grips on the bike. So this is also something that, you know, it did make quite a big difference on the bike. It's a little bit cold today. The temperature has dropped. I hope it doesn't rain. Today is also Tuesday, which means it's basketball day for work. I've got my basketball gear, my shorts and everything. Hopefully it does not rain. It doesn't ruin it for us. And also because there's so many things that I can get in the bike. Usually on Tuesdays I don't get many things with me. So I get my my water bottle. You obviously pass with a red light, and I know what you might say, just let him go. People are sleeping. It's another one of these days. So yeah, usually on Tuesdays I don't carry many things with me. Once I get changed, I've got a lot of more clothes, let's say, to put in the bag rather than what I'm wearing after, which is just like a t-shirt and shorts. So I got water bottles. I got the GoPro case which comes with the GoPro. I use that in order to put things in there. Another guy passing with a red light. So I don't have much space, therefore I cannot get a, what do you call it, I cannot get with me, you know, waterproof clothes. The jacket, the gloves, everything is waterproof that I'm wearing, so it's you know, winter kind of, let's say, attire. But usually what I do in the bag is I put my waterproof pants, and usually I'm okay, unless it really rains, where in these cases there's not much you can do. Another thing to mention about the Supersport bike, which might surprise a lot of people, is that the aerodynamics, the design of the bike and everything is very calculated, let's say, in a sense that, like one of the examples that I can give, comparing the aerodynamics of this bike in comparison to my wife's. When I'm going fast with my wife's bike, which is a naked bike. In comparison to this one, I get more wind and more sort of, let's say, vibration on my helmet. Now my wife's is a naked bike, but she does have a windscreen, an aftermarket windscreen, Barracuda, that she put on it, and it's much taller and larger than the one of the R6 has. But that's another thing to show, that because it's a short windscreen, it doesn't mean there's less wind protection. The aerodynamics of the bike, the way it pushes the air, and also the position, because you're a little bit more forward, the result is that you get less wind on you, which was surprising, you know what I mean? Like, you do not expect this thing to happen. Another example for the another example for the aerodynamics is when it's raining, because when it's raining you really get an understanding of what and where the wind protection is. It depends on the wind protection, depends how much you get wet or not. I'm trying to pass this guy here. He's being silly. Trucks are a pain in the ass usually in the morning, are very dangerous. So that's another thing that I notice. With my wife's bike, I get much more wet all over the place, including my pants. So there has been times where I did not have my pants with me, both in my wife's bike and in my bike. The R6 has got a better aerodynamics with me, which means it pushes the air more far away, therefore you get less wet. Another thing to notice on high speeds on the naked bike in comparison with the Super Sport is your feet, which is another thing that I was not expecting. When you're driving fast, let's say 120 and above, the wind which touches your feet is you know, your feet is much more susceptible to the wind, and you can easily feel that, because as you're going, you know, your feet at the bottom, you can feel the wind, they're shaking. Whereas in the Super Sport it's not, perhaps because it's got more fairings on the low end as well. Anyway, there's many explanations of why this might be happening, but the result is that, you know, and the reason why I mention this is because some people will say, you know, why aren't you wearing some waterproof boots and everything? One of the strange things that I've noticed on this bike, because of all the fairings perhaps and the aerodynamics, I don't know, as you're going through the rain, is that my shoes do not get wet. You know, my pants might get wet, other components might be wet, but my shoes, usually, they don't get wet. So therefore, you know, I choose not to wear pants, shoes, unless, like I said, it gets really you know, it really gets rainy and then, you know, your shoes will get wet because you're actually going through a pothole, let's say, and water splashes up from the bottom side. I mean, those things you cannot avoid. But as far as the rain in itself, then, you know, usually they don't get wet. The fairing, which is on the front wheel, kind of takes care of the rain and everything. So, because we've gotten a little bit off topic, let's get back on topic. So one of the things, like I said, we can discuss today is about future modes. One of the things that I did recently, and I was thinking about it, is the tank grips. And I'm not talking about the tank pad, which is on top of the tank pad, on the side of the tank pad, in order to protect, you know, the in order to protect your feet and everything. And the other thing It might sound a little bit ridiculous, but because I had been a long time since I had used the bike, and my physical condition was you know, not what it should be, not what it was, and also you get, you know, unused to your bike. I noticed that I was getting a lot more tired. I noticed that a lot of people were mentioning, not just a lot of people, I knew that the logic behind was, in order for you to take weight away from your hands, you have to utilize your, you know, your feet, your legs, and in order to tightly grip with your knees around the tank. And when you do that, you elevate a lot of the weight. So, you know, there were a few people that were commenting this. There were a lot of people that were, you know, commenting on this, and I realized that as well. And I thought to myself, you know, a long time ago you used to be more look at this idiot. You used to be a lot more active with your legs. How come now you're not? And that's obviously because, you know, different strength, different weight, different physical conditions. So one of the things that I noticed, which really helped me, and I did do this mode, is get tank pads, tank grip pads, let's call them, on the sides. So basically that helps you actually have better grip on the tank, and a lot of people on track bikes that do this. That did really help a lot. And another thing to mention, so that's something that I recommend everybody gets. It's cheap, and you don't have to get super duper brands, let's say, and, you know, go crazy on it. What I did is I got a good brand as far as quality goes of the material, which is One Design. One Design is a known brand for this, but I did not get any specific shape. I got the actual material and I cut out with a stencil the design that I wanted in order to fit perfectly. So from one stencil, which cost me around 30 bucks, I was able to cut 4 separate pieces. 2 large ones on the tank and on the side of the tank, and 2 smaller ones on the plastics on the side. And this was more than enough. You're able to get that grip no matter how you sit, how much you change your position. And that also plays a role when you're taking turns, because like I said, when you're going straight, for example, you're tightly gripping with your knees on the tank, you got good grip, you know what I mean? When you're going sideways and you got one knee out, let's say, then you're not able to with both legs grip. Therefore, having a tank grip pad, you know, really helps you a lot. So this is a very good, you know, thing that I have done. Which is, you know, it really does help. And another thing to notice, which I was thinking about this, you know, a few days. If you remember, I mentioned that I did a wheelie one day when I was kind of racing a guy. We just, you know, we kind of went off the lights one day, and one of the things that I noticed, and I think it must have played a role, I'm not sure, but, you know, to me it seems as if it played a big role, is the tank pad. That day, it used to be a Tuesday, and we had basketball at work. I had my shorts on, and it happened as I was coming back from work. You know what I mean? Sometimes all these details, you know, you're not placing one and one together. So I had my shorts, which means, you know, my legs were naked, and they were very tightly gripped on the tank, and that's something that it elevates, let's say, the weight, because it's a different thing to hold and to pull yourself on the grips. It's a different thing to actually pull yourself from the tank. And that could be one of the reasons why my weight distribution was much higher. It could be. I'm still speculating. As far as other modes, which I have not done currently, there's only 2, so there's not many things that I'm thinking about. One is a steering damper, or a steering stabilizer, whatever you want to call it. And the other thing was clip-ons. So again, because of my physical condition, let's not repeat the same thing 100 times. One of the other things that I thought about was to get clip-ons. Clip-ons change, they're basically, you know, steering wheel, basically your steering handlebars. You're changing them with aftermarket. And the reason why some people might want to do that is because, you know, it allows you for more customization, let's say. So if you pay attention to the current steering wheel, they're kind of low. They got an angle to them. Are they going to stop? They're kind of low, they got an angle to them, and that creates pressure. So if you pay attention on my hand, you know, there's a lot of angle as such, because it goes down like this. So with aftermarket, you can get them to be straight, so you can have it sort of coming out like this, and that does make a difference. You can have it to be higher in order to make the back a little bit more drivable. Now, the proper race position on the handlebars should be what they are now. So if you squat down and you're racing on a track, these are the perfect ones. Even if I do it now, if I squat down, it feels more natural the way they are now. So you might take away from the, you know, the whole feeling thing. And this is part of the reason why I have not done it. Another reason is because I have not found something at the moment which covers my needs, in the sense that I have not found any clip-ons which go out on the specific sport that the factory ones do. So that's another problem, that usually clip-ons, you will see that they have two separate components. So they will have I might put some pictures up and stuff, I don't know. So they have two separate components, which is the thing that grips around the actual suspension, and they have the bar, the handbar, which comes out, and that's the component that you hold on. Now those two things are separate, and usually in the track bikes they put them because that also allows them to change. So in case you fall, usually what happens is the handbar breaks, therefore you can change the handbar. You change the end bar and you're kind of set. That's another thing why they have them in the track bikes. But another thing is, you know, comfortability, usage, all that. Let's go to our usual place. We have gotten used to this place. It's our discussion before we go to workplace. Hilarious. And we'll close the bike as well now because it's really warming up. Let me take the gloves off, so yeah, we'll get through it much quicker, many things. So as I was saying, another thing is the clip-ons. I will showcase a little bit. Let me just get my gloves out of the way. So basically, if you look at the tank grip, I will try to do it as perfect as I can. This is where the steering down, the suspension is. There's a metal piece, and then there's a bar that comes out. Now this bar's got a huge angle. Even if you get this bar to be straight up, means this much difference. That's a huge difference when it comes to the angle. If you're standing up, if you're nailed down like this, then it's perfect. You know what I mean? But when you're more relaxed and you're not on the track and you're going like this, there's a lot of pressure here. That's why I mentioned also that these gloves, that they have this hard thing here, is not only for scratches, it's also, it makes it more comfortable for you to hold it. Now the problem with these clip-ons is that usually when you get them, you will get the clip-on to be on this side, which means it changes the geometry and the clearance that you have. So far I have not found one that comes straight here. I want one that comes out from here, so it does not change how much forward or not. So if it comes out here, then these things will hit obviously the front side, similar with the opposite side. I want something that comes out of here, and it's weird and it's not possible, I think, because this inner part is separate. So in order for this to be separate, move forward and backward and be adjusted, it has to be on this side to go back and forth. So This is one of the specificities about this type of clip-on things, and part of the reason why so far I have not gotten clip-ons, because by the looks of it, as per design, what I want is not doable. So therefore I said, okay, get used to it. Now this thought process has been done since I resurfaced the bike, and it has been a few months since I have resurfaced the bike, which means that I've been contemplating on it quite a bit, and I've been contemplating it quite a bit, and so far I have not, have not gotten it. But it might change. Another thing that I'm noticing is as time passes by, because it has been 1, 2, 3 months, for example, I have been getting a lot more used to it. I think my hands are getting a little bit stronger in that section, and it doesn't seem to bother me as much. So we'll see how it goes. I don't say, never say never. So that's one of the things. The last thing that I want to mention is the stabilizer, the stew damping. The stew damping usually is a component which goes at the top of your handlebar here, or there's another round one which is like the GRP, I don't remember the brand. It's like a circular one, and it's called a dial switch, so you can usually adjust the stiffness of your steering damper. And what the steering damper is, in case for people that don't know, it basically avoids tank wobbles and tank slaps, the death slap, whatever they call it, which is on high speeds on specific surface areas where your tire touches the ground in specific angles. It might create an isolation of the steering wheel, which starts to trigger a never-ending, let's say, turning of the steering wheel really quick. And in those cases, there's not much you can do rather than let the bike kind of settle down. The more you grip on it, in some cases, the actual worse it gets. So it is a safety thing. I think 600 and 1000 bikes, because they have this acceleration, they get a lot light on the front, especially now with the sprocket change that I've done. The bike is able to wheelie by itself without me trying, based on acceleration. So it is a good idea to actually have something like that in order for to offer you more protection. So this is something that I'm thinking about, but it is really expensive. The only reason why I don't have it, not for looks wise, is because it's very expensive. It's around 500 to 600 euro. But it does offer protection. I don't know why companies are not putting it on the bikes. They are doing on the 600, and obviously this is a 2007 model. I think on later bikes they're using it. Honda is using an electronic steering damper. That's another thing that I liked about the 2008 Honda, is that that model, even though it's a 2008, it also has the electronic steering damper, which is run right under the tank. The tank here, you know what I mean? And you can't actually see it. But even if you see it, I don't care. Even the round ones, I like them. The long ones, I like them. The Orleans, or even another brand, I'm not fixated. But whatever you try to get as far as steering damper goes, it gets expensive, you know what I mean? You're looking at 500, 600 bucks. So that's like a lot of money. That's more money that it cost me to fix all the parts on the bike after resurfacing it after 6 years of not having another thing. So that's another thing to mention. The bike mechanic that I took the bike to was awesome. You know what I mean? At the beginning I was worried. I told him, it's been 6 years. And he kept on telling me, don't worry about it. I thought, what the hell am I not worrying about it? I am worried about it. I mean, I was telling you, please don't turn the ignition, because that might turn the engine like a quarter, and that can cause this. I don't know what the clearance is at 6 years. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. I was trying to give him hints and everything, and then one day he calls me after like 1 month. It did take him a month. He goes, it's ready. I go, what do you mean? He goes, it's ready. Yeah, I go, but how much? 450 euro. I go to him, are you serious? He goes, I'll go to him 1 second, I'll be there. Go to the bank, get the money. I had saved, like, since I wanted to research the best, I was saving a little bit more of money. I thought it would have been close to 900. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with the bike, you know what I mean? From the BEC system, from the injection, from the cylinders, from the valve clearance. There's little metal things on top of the valves which actually, dictate how far the valve is. There's a million things that can go wrong. You know what I mean? Hey, he said no, we took everything apart. That's why I told you, I kept on telling you, don't worry about it, because you were telling me about turning the bike and everything. We took everything apart. I go, what do you mean you took everything apart? We took everything apart. And I did remember at some point, because I went to him because I thought I had the papers as I was trying to do the license plates on the under the bike, and I went to him and I got him, I want to get some papers from the back of my bike, can you let me like look for it? He goes, yeah. And he goes to me, the back of the bike is on top of that shelf, and I go, and it didn't click to me then that he had literally pulled the bike apart, because as I was going to the bike, all I could see was like half the engine, a lot of a lot of like rags on top of the engine and the skeleton. That's it. Like there was nothing else. There was no seaters, no plastic. So he literally took the whole bike apart, and that's what he should do. And $450 just to fix that is nothing. Nothing. Just the work that it took. He took the injection out. He sent it to get cleaned, and that's before he even turned the ignition. You know what I mean? And he did this because I told him it's been 6 years. So he realized. He took the forks apart. Luckily, there was no damage to the forks, but the seals were all worn out. All the oil had drained out. So it is 6 years, you know what I mean, 6 years. So obviously there were a lot of things that he changed, but he took care in order not to cause additional damage. That was only 450. So 500, 600 to get a steering damper, or 450 is what it cost me to get the bike. I'm thinking about it. Then again, you will say, you know, this is a safety issue. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see. Yeah, that's all I wanted to mention. These are the main thing that I'm thinking about the bike. So a steering stabilizer, the clip-ons. At the moment, by the way that it seems, is I'm not going to do none of this. You know what I mean? One, because of the money, a lot of money, and the other because I don't seem to get exactly what I like. You know what I mean? But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So, okay, guys, thank you very, very much. I hope you have an awesome day. And we'll talk soon. Bye bye.